You want money, power, and success, but your internal frequency is tuned to scarcity and fear. Machiavelli knew that the majority remain mediocre forever, but quantum physics explains why. Your external reality is merely a mirror of your internal chaos. Until you master your vibration, you will always be a slave to circumstances. This is not a motivational speech. This is a dismantling of the prison you've been living in. By the end of this transmission, you will understand the hidden mechanism that separates the powerful from the powerless, the wealthy from the desperate, and the architects of reality from those who merely react to it. You will learn how to weaponize your internal state to magnetize money, influence, and dominion over your own life. But understand this: knowledge without application is merely entertainment. The question is, are you ready to become dangerous? Let me show you something that most people will never comprehend in their entire existence. The average life is not an accident. It is not bad luck. It is not the system holding you down, though the system certainly plays its part. The average life is a vibrational frequency, a bandwidth of consciousness that most humans never escape. They wake up, trudge to jobs they despise, complain about circumstances, consume mindless content to numb the pain, and collapse into bed only to repeat the cycle. Machiavelli observed this pattern 5 centuries ago. He called the masses predictable, fearful, and comfort-seeking. But what he described in political terms, modern science now explains in energetic terms. This is the frequency of low vibration. Let me be brutally clear about what low vibration actually means. It is not some abstract spiritual concept. It is a measurable state of being characterized by fear, apathy, resentment, and victimhood. When you operate from this frequency, you are broadcasting a signal into the universe that says, "I am powerless. I am insufficient. I need the world to change before I can succeed." And the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, reflects that signal right back at you. You attract circumstances, people, and situations that confirm your internal narrative. This is not metaphysical mumbo-jumbo. This is how reality construction works at the quantum level. The majority of humanity lives in what I call the fear-comfort cycle. You are afraid of failure, so you seek comfort. The comfort numbs the fear temporarily, but it also numbs your ambition, your drive, your life force itself. You become addicted to the anesthetic of mediocrity. Social media, streaming services, gossip, drama, these are not just distractions. They are frequency dampeners, designed to keep you operating in survival mode. Because when you are in survival mode, you are controllable. When you are reactive, when you are emotionally hijacked by the news cycle or the latest outrage, you have zero power, zero capacity to build, zero capacity to create wealth or influence. And here is where it gets darker. The system benefits from your low vibration, not because of some shadowy conspiracy, though those exist, but because low-vibration humans are predictable consumers. They buy to fill the void. They vote based on fear. They work for pennies because they do not believe they deserve more. The engineering of this prison is so elegant that most people defend it. They will call you crazy for questioning it. They will say you are being unrealistic, arrogant, or delusional for suggesting there is another way. This is the voice of the prison guard that lives inside their own mind, and it will try to infect yours too if you let it. Machiavelli understood that the masses would never rise because they lack the courage to face discomfort. But you are here reading these words, which means some part of you is ready to break the pattern. So let us go deeper into the mechanism of why you are stuck. Your mind is not a passive observer of reality. It is an active creator. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, these are not inconsequential. They are energetic transmissions. You are, in essence, a biological antenna, constantly broadcasting a signal. The frequency of that signal determines what you attract, who you meet, what opportunities appear, and how much money flows into your life. This is not a metaphor. This is physics, dressed in philosophical language. When you think like a victim, when you tell yourself stories like, "The economy is rigged," "I was not born into the right family," "People like me do not succeed," you are tuning your antenna to the frequency of lack, and lack is what you will continue to experience. Not because you are cursed, but because you are coherent. Your thoughts, emotions, and external reality are in perfect alignment. You are creating, just not what you want. You are manifesting your fears instead of your desires. Machiavelli wrote that the man who cannot control his emotions will lose his power to those who can. This is not just political advice. This is a universal law. Low vibration is pure emotional reactivity. The average person is triggered by everything: a rude comment, a traffic jam, a social media post, a perceived slight. They hemorrhage energy reacting to a world they feel powerless to change. The powerful, on the other hand, observe. They do not react, they respond. There is a massive difference. Reaction is unconscious. It is the stimulus-response loop of an animal. Someone insults you, you lash out. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you rage. Your boss undermines you, you stew in resentment. Every reaction is a leak of power. Every emotional hijacking is a moment where you hand control of your state to an external circumstance. And when you live in reaction, you are by definition not in creation. You are a puppet, and the world pulls your strings. Now many people hear this and think the solution is forced positivity. They plaster on a fake smile, repeat affirmations they do not believe, and pretend everything is fine while their internal world is chaos. This is not high vibration. This is spiritual bypassing, and it does not work. The universe does not respond to what you say. It responds to what you are. If you are vibrating fear underneath the veneer of positivity, you will attract experiences that match the fear, not the facade. True high vibration is not about being happy all the time. It is about being coherent. It is about aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions into a unified field of power. Emotions like guilt, shame, and fear are low-frequency states. They literally slow down your energy. They make you dense, heavy, contracted. Money and power, on the other hand, are high-frequency energies. They flow toward expansion, confidence, clarity, and purpose. If you are vibrating in shame about your past or fear about your future, you are repelling the very things you claim to want. You cannot resonate with abundance while identified with scarcity. It is energetically impossible. So how do you break free? How do you shift from low vibration to high vibration, from reactive victim to sovereign creator? The first step is something so simple that most people overlook it entirely. You must become the observer of your own mind. Right now, most people are completely identified with their thoughts and emotions. A thought appears, and they believe it is true. An emotion arises, and they become it. They say, "I am angry, I am depressed, I am anxious," as if the emotion is their identity. But you are not your emotions. You are the awareness that perceives the emotions. This distinction is everything. Machiavelli would call this the strategic mind, the part of you that can assess situations without being clouded by emotional turmoil. The mystics call it the witness, the observing consciousness that is untouched by the drama of the human experience. Whatever you call it, this capacity to observe without identifying is the key to raising your vibration. Because the moment you can observe an emotion without becoming it, you have power over it. You are no longer at its mercy. Let me give you a practical example. You are scrolling social media, and you see someone flaunting success that you do not have. Immediately, a wave of jealousy or inadequacy washes over you. The average person identifies with this emotion. They think, "I am not good enough. They have what I want. Life is unfair." And they spiral into a low vibrational state that lasts for hours or even days. The person who has mastered observation does something different. They notice the emotion arising. They feel the tightness in their chest, the narrative forming in their mind. But instead of becoming it, they witness it. They think, interesting, there is jealousy here. What is this showing me about my own desires? What belief is this triggering? They do not suppress the emotion, but they also do not let it hijack their state. They remain the strategist, the architect, the one in control. This brings us to the concept of detachment, which is one of the most misunderstood principles of power. Detachment does not mean you do not care. It means you do not need. The average person is addicted to needing approval, needing validation, needing the world to be a certain way before they can feel okay. This neediness is a frequency of desperation, and it repels everything you want. The strategist, the person operating from high vibration, seeks autonomy, not approval. They build their sense of worth from within, not from external validation. And the moment you stop needing the world to validate you, your vibration skyrockets. Why? Because you are no longer leaking energy trying to please people who do not matter. You are no longer contorting yourself to fit into boxes that were never designed for you. You become whole, self-referencing, sovereign. And sovereignty is the highest frequency there is. There is also a biological component to this shift. When you are in a reactive, low vibrational state, your nervous system is in fight-or-flight mode. Your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. Your perception narrows. You literally cannot think clearly or see opportunities because your brain is in survival mode. This is why broke, stressed people make terrible financial decisions. They are not stupid. They are dysregulated. But when you practice observation, when you breathe deeply and witness your internal state without reacting, you shift your biology. You activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. Your heart rate variability increases. Your brain waves shift from beta, stress, to alpha, flow. In this state, you are calm, creative, and open. Opportunities that were invisible before suddenly become obvious. People are drawn to you because you emanate a different energy. This is not mystical. This is neuroscience. But it looks like magic to those who do not understand it. Now, let us talk about what happens when you actually master your internal state. When you achieve what I call vibrational coherence. Coherence means your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned. There is no internal conflict. You are not saying one thing and believing another. You are not wanting success while simultaneously believing you do not deserve it. You are unified, and that unity creates a magnetic field. People who are coherent do not have to chase money or power. It comes to them, not because they are lucky, but because they emit a frequency that matches wealth and influence. Think about the people you know who seem to effortlessly attract success. They are not necessarily the smartest or the hardest working, but there is something about them, a presence, a certainty, a calm authority that is coherence, that is high vibration, made manifest. The person vibrating in scarcity acts out of desperation. They take jobs they hate because they are afraid. They stay in toxic relationships because they do not believe they can do better. They hoard money instead of investing it because they fear loss. Every action is tinged with fear, and fear-based action creates more fear-based results. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The person in creator mode, operating from high vibration, acts from vision and intention. They make decisions based on where they are going, not where they have been. They take calculated risks because they trust themselves. They invest in their growth because they know they are their greatest asset. And because their actions are not contaminated by fear, the results are exponentially better. This is what Machiavelli meant when he spoke of fortuna favoring the bold. It is not random luck. It is energetic alignment. Let me introduce you to a concept that will change your life if you truly understand it: the compound effect of vibration. Most people think success is about one big break, one lucky moment, one viral post. But that is a lie sold by lottery ticket thinking. Real power is built through compounding small, high-vibrational actions over time. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you compound power. Every time you observe an emotion instead of reacting to it, you compound mastery. Every time you show up with intention instead of desperation, you compound magnetism. These small acts seem insignificant in the moment, but over months and years, they create an entirely different life. Machiavelli warned that small weaknesses, left unchecked, accumulate into catastrophic failure. The inverse is also true. Small strengths, practiced daily, accumulate into empire. Here is the brutal truth most people do not want to hear. If you are not where you want to be, it is because some part of you does not truly want it. I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me. You might consciously want money, power, and freedom. But if your subconscious is programmed with beliefs like, rich people are evil, I do not deserve success, or people like me do not win, then you are sabotaging yourself at every turn. Your subconscious will always win over your conscious desires. Always. This is why visualization and affirmations fail for most people. They are trying to override deep programming with surface-level techniques. It is like trying to patch a sinking ship with duct tape. The real work is going into the subconscious and reprogramming the operating system. And that requires brutal honesty. You have to look at the beliefs you are carrying, the stories you are telling yourself, and the identity you are clinging to, and ask, is this who I actually am, or is this who I was conditioned to be? For most people, the answer is terrifying, because it means the version of themselves they have been defending, the identity they have built, is a construct. It is a character they have been playing, written by parents, society, trauma, and fear. And to step into true power, that character has to die. This is the death of the mediocre self. The version of you that loves comfort, that seeks approval, that plays small to avoid criticism. That version has to be annihilated, not suppressed, but consciously outgrown. You cannot become the ruler of your reality while still clinging to the identity of the victim, the underdog, or the good person who never makes waves. Those identities are incompatible with power. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that new rulers must be willing to do what others will not. Not because they are cruel, but because they are clear. They know that sentimentality is a luxury the powerless indulge in. The powerful are not heartless, but they are not sentimental either. They make decisions based on reality, not wishful thinking. And the first reality you must face is this: you are responsible for everything in your life, not because you caused it all, but because you are the only one who can change it. This is the shift from victim to creator. The victim asks, why is this happening to me? The creator asks, what is this teaching me, and how can I use it? The victim waits for permission, validation, or the perfect conditions. The creator acts in spite of fear, doubt, and uncertainty. The victim needs the world to change. The creator changes themselves and watches the world rearrange itself in response. And here is the beautiful, terrifying truth. When you change, everything changes. Not because the external world is magical, but because you are perceiving and interacting with it differently. Opportunities that were always there become visible. People who match your new frequency appear. Doors that were closed swing open. This is not luck. This is alignment. You stopped being a chess piece on someone else's board and became the player. So what does this look like in practice? How do you actually operationalize this shift? Let me give you the framework. First, you must audit your current vibration. Look at your life as it is right now. Your bank account, your relationships, your health, your daily habits. This is a perfect snapshot of your internal state. If you do not like what you see, do not blame the world. Thank it for showing you exactly what frequency you have been broadcasting. This is data, not judgment. Second, you must identify the low vibrational patterns. What are the thoughts you think on repeat? What are the emotions you indulge in? What are the stories you tell about yourself? Write them down. make them conscious, because you cannot change what you cannot see. Third, you must interrupt the pattern. This is where observation becomes your greatest weapon. When a low vibrational thought or emotion arises, do not fight it. Fighting gives it power. Instead, observe it. Say to yourself, there is fear, there is doubt, there is the old program running. And breathe. Just breathe and witness. This interrupts the automatic loop and creates space for a new choice. Fourth, you must install a new program. This is not about lying to yourself with affirmations you do not believe. This is about asking better questions. Instead of, why can't I succeed? Ask, what would success look like if I allowed it? Instead of, why do bad things always happen to me? Ask, what is the lesson here, and how can I grow from it? The quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. Fifth, you must take aligned action. High vibration without action is delusion. You cannot meditate your way to $1 million, but you can elevate your state, clarify your vision, and then act from that place of power. The action itself becomes different. It is no longer desperate hustling. It is strategic execution. It is the universe moving through you, not you struggling against the universe. And finally, you must commit to the identity shift. This is not a weekend project. This is a complete rewiring of who you are. You must wake up every day and ask, am I being the person who has what I want, or am I being the person who wants what they do not have? There is a vibrational difference between those two states, and the universe responds accordingly. Let me pause here and make sure you are tracking with me, because we have covered a tremendous amount of ground. We have established that your life is not a result of circumstances, but of vibration. We have identified the low vibrational trap of fear, reactivity, and victimhood. We have explored the mechanism by which your thoughts and emotions create your reality, and we have outlined the practical process of shifting from mediocrity to mastery. But this is only the foundation. What I am about to share with you next is where this knowledge becomes truly dangerous. Because understanding the principles is one thing. Weaponizing them with advanced strategy is another. Most people will stop at the basics. They will dabble in high vibration for a few days, feel a little better, and then slide back into old patterns. Why? Because they have not yet learned the dark arts of maintenance, manipulation of reality, and the subtle energetic tactics that the truly powerful use to stay on top. What comes next is not for the faint of heart. These are the tools that Machiavelli himself would recognize, translated into the language of frequency and consciousness. These are the methods used by those who do not just attract wealth, but command it, who do not just hope for power, but seize it, who do not just play the game, but rewrite the rules. If you are still with me, if you have not clicked away to find easier, more comforting content, then you are ready. You are ready to go deeper. You are ready to learn the advanced tactics that separate the architects of reality from those who merely observe it. You are ready to become dangerous. So take a breath. Let everything we have covered so far integrate, and prepare yourself, because what comes next will challenge every assumption you have about how reality works. This is the point of no return. Once you see what I am about to show you, you cannot unsee it. Once you understand these principles, you will never view the world the same way again. And that, my friend, is exactly the point. Now we enter the domain of the advanced strategist, the person who has integrated the foundational principles and is ready to wield them with precision. This is where most spiritual teachings stop and most business advice fails, because they do not understand that true power lives at the intersection of consciousness and strategy. Machiavelli knew this. He understood that idealism without pragmatism is useless, and pragmatism without vision is hollow. The master operates in both realms simultaneously. Let us begin with a concept that will fundamentally alter how you perceive human interaction: energetic dominance. Most people think power dynamics are about money, status, or physical strength. Those are symptoms, not causes. The real hierarchy is energetic. When you walk into a room, your frequency either dominates the space or submits to it. This is not about aggression or ego. It is about coherence and presence. Have you ever been around someone who just commands attention without saying a word? Someone whose very presence shifts the energy of the environment? That is energetic dominance. It is not manufactured. It is the natural result of mastering your internal state so completely that your field becomes undeniable. People feel it even if they cannot articulate it. This is why certain individuals can charge 10 times more for the same service. This is why some leaders inspire fanatical loyalty, while others with better credentials are ignored. Frequency determines hierarchy. The average person enters every interaction from a place of seeking approval, seeking validation, seeking something from the other person. This creates an energetic deficit, a subtle desperation that others sense instinctively. And when people sense neediness, they either exploit it or avoid it. Either way, you lose. The master enters every interaction from a place of overflow. They are not seeking anything. They are complete within themselves. This does not mean they are arrogant or closed off. It means their sense of worth is not dependent on the outcome of the interaction. They are offering their presence, their attention, their energy as a gift, not as a bargaining chip. And this shift, this subtle reframing of the energetic exchange, changes everything. Let me give you a concrete example. Imagine you are negotiating a business deal. If you need the deal to close, if you are attached to the outcome, your desperation will leak through your words, your body language, your energy field. The other party will sense it, consciously or unconsciously, and they will use it against you. They will sense your weakness and press for better terms, or worse, they will lose respect for you and walk away. But if you enter that same negotiation from a place of detachment where you would be happy to close the deal, but equally comfortable walking away, your energy shifts. You become unmovable. You become the rock that the river flows around. And paradoxically, this is when people are most likely to agree to your terms, because they sense that you are not desperate, which makes them wonder what you know that they do not. Your indifference becomes intrigue, and intrigue is magnetic. This principle applies to every domain of life. In relationships, the person who needs the other person less holds the power. In careers, the person who is willing to walk away from the job has more negotiating leverage than the one clinging to security. In wealth, the person who is not afraid to lose money can take the risks that create massive returns. Detachment is not apathy. It is liberation from outcome dependency, and that liberation is intoxicating to others and empowering to you. Now let us talk about a concept that will disturb many: strategic authenticity. There is a naive belief in personal development circles that you must always be 100% authentic, always share your truth, always be vulnerable. This is beautiful in theory and disastrous in practice. Machiavelli would laugh at such naivety. Because the world is not a safe space. The world is a battlefield of competing interests, and those who are too open become casualties. Strategic authenticity means you are genuine but discerning. You do not lie, but you do not reveal everything. You share your truth with those who have earned the right to hear it, and you remain strategically ambiguous with those who have not. This is not manipulation. This is wisdom. The fool tells everyone everything. The master reveals only what serves the situation. Think about the most powerful people you know or have studied. Do they overshare? Do they constantly seek sympathy or validation through vulnerability? No. They are measured. They are self-contained. They reveal enough to build connection, but not so much that they become predictable or exploitable. This creates an aura of mystery, and mystery is one of the most powerful tools in the arsenal of influence. People are naturally drawn to what they do not fully understand. When you are too available, too readable, too open, you lose allure, you become common. But when you maintain a degree of enigma, when people cannot quite figure you out, they become obsessed with understanding you. They project their fantasies onto you. They give you power without you even asking for it. This does not mean you become fake or robotic. It means you become intentional. You ask yourself before every interaction, what is my objective here? What do I need this person to know, feel, or do? And you calibrate your communication accordingly. This is what great leaders, influencers, and power brokers do. They are always operating on multiple levels simultaneously, the surface level of what is being said and the deeper level of what is being communicated energetically and strategically. Let us now explore one of the most dangerous tools in the realm of high vibration, reality distortion. This term was famously used to describe Steve Jobs, who had the ability to convince people that impossible things were possible. But this is not unique to Jobs. This is a skill that anyone operating at a high frequency can develop. It is the ability to impose your vision of reality onto others so compellingly that they begin to see the world through your eyes. How does this work? It starts with absolute conviction. When you are 100% certain of something, that certainty creates a gravitational pull. People feel it. They sense that you have access to something they do not. And because most people are uncertain about everything, they are desperate to follow someone who is certain about anything. This is why cult leaders and visionary CEOs use the same playbook. Certainty is hypnotic. But here is the key. Your certainty must be rooted in high vibration, not ego. Ego-based certainty is brittle. It is loud, defensive, and ultimately fragile. Frequency-based certainty is quiet, unshakable, and expansive. It does not need to convince anyone because it is not trying to prove anything. It simply is. And that pure beingness is what bends reality. When you operate from this place, you will notice something extraordinary. The universe begins to conspire in your favor. Synchronicities multiply. The right people appear at the right time. Resources materialize seemingly out of nowhere. Skeptics call this luck or a confirmation bias. But you will know the truth. You have tuned your frequency so precisely that you are now in the flow of universal intelligence. You are no longer swimming upstream. You are riding the current. This brings us to the concept of controlled chaos. The master understands that life is inherently chaotic and unpredictable. The fool tries to control everything and breaks under the weight of it. The average person is overwhelmed by chaos and becomes paralyzed. But the master? The master dances with chaos. They know that within disorder lies opportunity, and they have trained themselves to remain calm and strategic even when everything is falling apart. This is one of the most valuable skills you can develop, because crises will come, markets will crash, relationships will end, plans will fail. This is guaranteed. But your response to chaos is not. And those who can remain coherent when everyone else is losing their minds are the ones who emerge with more power, more wealth, and more influence. Think about every major historical shift, every economic collapse, every societal upheaval. Who wins? Not the strongest, not the smartest. Those who are most adaptable, most emotionally regulated, and most strategically opportunistic. They see what others cannot see, because others are blinded by fear. They act when others are paralyzed, and they profit from the chaos that destroys everyone else. This is why mastering your nervous system is not optional. It is the foundation of everything. If you cannot regulate yourself under pressure, all the strategy in the world is useless. You will panic. You will make emotional decisions. You will sabotage yourself at the worst possible moment. But if you have trained yourself through breath, meditation, observation, and discipline to remain the eye of the storm no matter what is happening around you, you become unstoppable. Now let me share something that very few people understand about money. Money is not just a medium of exchange. It is frozen energy. It is concentrated attention, effort, and value. And like all energy, it flows toward coherence and away from chaos. This is why you see broke people win the lottery and lose it all within a few years. Their internal frequency did not match the external wealth. The money had nowhere to land, so it left. If you want to attract and keep wealth, you must become a vibrational match for it. This means you must embody the qualities of wealth before the money arrives. You must be organized, disciplined, strategic, and abundant in your thinking. You must treat the $10 in your pocket with the same respect you would treat 10 million. Because the universe is always testing your stewardship. If you cannot handle a little, you will never be trusted with a lot. Most people relate to money from scarcity. They hoard it, fear losing it, resent others who have it, and feel guilty when they have it themselves. All of this is low vibrational relationship with money, and money, being energy, will not flow toward that frequency. The wealthy relate to money as a tool, a game, a flow. They understand that money is always moving, and their job is to position themselves in the current. This is why the rich get richer. Not because they are greedy or lucky, but because they have mastered the energetics of wealth. They are not afraid of it. They are not moralistic about it. They simply understand the rules of the game and play it better than everyone else. And the beautiful part? These rules are not secret. They are hidden in plain sight, visible to anyone with the frequency to perceive them. Let me give you an advanced tactic that combines everything we have discussed: the strategic pause. In a world that glorifies hustle, grind, and constant action, the ability to pause is a superpower. The pause is where strategy is born. It is where you separate stimulus from response. It is where you reclaim your power. Most people are addicted to reactivity. Something happens, they immediately respond. Someone sends an email, they reply instantly. An opportunity appears, they jump without thinking. This is not power, this is compulsion. The master pauses. They create space between what happens and how they respond. In that space, they assess, strategize, and choose. And that choice, made from coherence rather than reaction, changes everything. The strategic pause also creates a power dynamic in human interactions. When you do not immediately respond, people wonder. They project. They chase. Scarcity is created not by withholding, but by being self-contained. When you are not constantly available, constantly responsive, constantly seeking to please, you become more valuable. Your attention becomes a commodity. Your presence becomes a prize. This is counterintuitive for most people because we have been conditioned to believe that responsiveness equals professionalism or kindness. But in reality, immediate availability signals low value. It signals you have nothing better to do, no one else competing for your time, no internal abundance. The powerful are slow to respond, not because they are rude, but because they are selective. They operate on their own timeline, and the world adjusts. There is a deeper layer to this that most people never consider. The strategic pause is also a reclamation of your life force. Every time you react immediately, you are giving away your energy. You are allowing external forces to dictate the rhythm of your existence. But when you pause, when you create that sacred space between stimulus and response, you are declaring sovereignty. You are saying, I am not a puppet. I am not a servant to every notification, every demand, every external pressure. I operate from my center, not from the chaos around me. This practice alone will transform your relationships, your business dealings, and your self-respect. Because the moment you stop being at the mercy of external demands, people sense a shift. They sense that you are no longer easily manipulated or controlled. And this creates a paradox. By being less available, you become more desired. By responding less, people value your responses more. By pausing, you become powerful. Let us now discuss the concept of reality anchors. These are practices, environments, and relationships that keep you locked into your current vibrational frequency. Most people are completely unconscious of their anchors, which is why they keep recreating the same life over and over. If you want to shift frequencies, you must audit and potentially sever your anchors. What are your reality anchors? They are the people who still see you as the old version of yourself and subtly pressure you to remain small. They are the environments that reinforce old habits and beliefs. They are the routines that keep you in autopilot mode. Every anchor is a vote for the old reality, and if you have too many anchors, your new frequency cannot take hold. The past will keep pulling you back. Let me be specific about how insidious these anchors can be. You decide you are going to transform your life. You commit to waking up at 5 in the morning, building a business, becoming disciplined. You feel the fire of motivation burning inside you. But then you go home and your environment is the same. The same couch where you wasted hours. The same room filled with reminders of who you used to be. The same routines that kept you comfortable and mediocre. Or perhaps you start to change and your friends notice. But instead of celebrating your evolution, they mock you. They call you obsessed, crazy, too serious. They invite you back to the old habits, the old conversations, the old identity. And if you are not careful, their voices become louder than your own vision. You start to doubt yourself. You start to think maybe you were being unrealistic. And slowly, imperceptibly, you slide back into the old frequency. The anchor has won. This is why transformation often requires isolation, not forever, but for a season. You must remove yourself from the field of old influences long enough to stabilize your new frequency. You must create a new environment, new routines, and new associations that reflect who you are becoming, not who you were. This is brutal for most people because it means letting go of relationships, jobs, and identities they have built their entire life around. But it is necessary. You cannot become someone new while living someone old's life. Machiavelli would tell you that loyalty to your old self is betrayal to your potential. You must be willing to be misunderstood, to be alone, to be called selfish or arrogant by those who benefit from your smallness. This is the price of transformation, and it is a price most people are unwilling to pay, which is why most people never change. But you are not most people. If you were, you would have stopped watching long ago. You would have dismissed this as too intense, too dark, too uncomfortable. But you are still here, which means some part of you recognizes the truth in these words. Some part of you is ready to burn down the old world and build a new one. Honor that part. Feed it. Protect it from the voices that will try to kill it. The final advanced tactic I will share with you is the most dangerous of all: emotional alchemy. This is the ability to transmute negative emotions into fuel for your ascension. Most people are destroyed by anger, jealousy, pain, and fear. The master uses these emotions as raw materials for creation. They do not suppress them. They do not indulge them. They alchemize them. When you feel jealousy, instead of spiraling into resentment, you ask, "What does this show me about my own desires? What am I being called to create?" When you feel anger, instead of lashing out or suppressing, you channel it into discipline, into action, into relentless execution. When you feel fear, instead of running or freezing, you walk directly toward it because you know that on the other side of fear is power. This is the difference between the mediocre and the legendary. The mediocre are controlled by their emotions. The legendary use their emotions as information and fuel. They have mastered the art of feeling everything without being defined by anything. This is the ultimate freedom, and it is the ultimate power. Let me expand on this because it is one of the most misunderstood concepts in all of personal development. When I say alchemize your emotions, I am not talking about toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing. I am not suggesting you pretend negative emotions do not exist or that you should smile through pain. That is denial, and denial always backfires. The shadow you refuse to face eventually consumes you. True emotional alchemy requires you to feel the emotion fully, to let it move through your body without resistance, but to not identify with it or let it control your actions. This is an art form. It is a dance between surrender and sovereignty. You surrender to the feeling, you allow it to exist, but you remain sovereign over your response to it. Think of emotions as weather systems moving through your consciousness. You would not identify as a storm just because it is raining outside. You would not say, "I am the rain." You observe it, you acknowledge it, perhaps you adjust your plans because of it, but you remain you, separate from the weather. The same principle applies to your internal weather. Anger arises, sadness arises, fear arises. These are weather patterns, not your identity. And here is where it gets powerful. Once you can observe the emotion without becoming it, you can extract the information it carries. Every emotion is a message. Anger often signals a boundary violation or an injustice that needs addressing. Jealousy reveals what you truly desire, but have not admitted to yourself. Fear points toward growth edges, toward the territories you need to explore to evolve. When you learn to decode these messages instead of being overwhelmed by them, you gain access to an intelligence that most people never tap into. Moreover, emotions carry immense energy. Anger, for example, is one of the most potent fuels available to you if you learn to harness it. Think about the greatest athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs. Many of them channeled rage, pain, or a desire to prove people wrong into their work. They took the raw, burning energy of a negative emotion and forged it into greatness. This is alchemy. This is turning lead into gold. But this requires a level of emotional maturity that is rare. Most people are either suppressing their emotions, which creates internal pressure and eventual explosion, or they are indulging their emotions, which creates drama and chaos. The master does neither. The master feels, observes, extracts wisdom, and transmutes the energy into purposeful action. This is the path of the warrior philosopher. This is the path of the ruler of self. Now let me introduce you to another principle that will separate you from the masses: strategic invisibility. There is a time to be seen and a time to be invisible. The fool is always performing, always seeking attention, always broadcasting their moves. The strategist moves in silence, builds in private, and only reveals the finished product when it serves them. Machiavelli understood this intimately. He observed that those who announced their plans prematurely often had them sabotaged by envious rivals. Those who built empires in silence could not be stopped because by the time anyone noticed what they were doing, it was already too late. This principle applies today more than ever in the age of social media, where everyone is broadcasting their every move, their every thought, their every intention. The problem with constant visibility is threefold. First, it invites interference. When people know what you are working on, they will project their doubts, their limitations, and their fears onto you. Even well-meaning friends and family will inadvertently plant seeds of doubt. Are you sure that is a good idea? That sounds risky. What if it does not work? These questions, asked repeatedly, can erode your conviction. Second, constant broadcasting dilutes your energy. Every time you talk about your goals, your brain gets a small hit of dopamine as if you have already achieved them. This satisfies the urge to actually do the work. You get the social validation and the good feelings without putting in the effort. This is why people who talk the most about their dreams often accomplish the least. They have already received the reward through the talking, so the drive to execute diminishes. Third, visibility attracts competition and sabotage. If you are building something valuable, something disruptive, something that threatens the status quo, there will be people who want to stop you. Maybe they steal your idea, maybe they spread rumors, maybe they try to beat you to market. But if you are invisible, if you are building in the shadows, they cannot touch you. By the time they realize what you have created, you are already 10 steps ahead. So, how do you practice strategic invisibility? You become selective about who you share your vision with. You keep your deepest goals private, shared only with a trusted few who genuinely support your rise. You post less, reveal less, and build more. You let your results speak for you rather than your announcements. And when you do reveal what you have been working on, it is not a promise or a hope. It is a finished product, a closed deal, a tangible achievement. This creates shock and awe, and it establishes you as someone who executes, not someone who just talks. This does not mean you never share anything. It means you are strategic about what, when, and with whom you share. The master understands that information is power, and giving away information indiscriminately is giving away power. Guard your plans like you would guard gold, because they are gold. They are the seeds of your future empire, and seeds need to be planted in fertile soil, not scattered on concrete. You now possess knowledge that most people will never have. You understand that reality is not fixed, but fluid. You know that your vibration determines your destiny. You have learned the foundational principles of shifting from victim to creator. And you have been given the advanced tactics that the truly powerful use to dominate. Their reality. But knowledge without application is just entertainment. And I did not create this to entertain you. I created this to wake you up, to disturb you, to challenge every comfortable lie you have been telling yourself about why you are not where you want to be. The truth is, you have everything you need right now to begin the transformation. You do not need more information. You do not need permission. You do not need perfect conditions. You need to decide. You need to commit. You need to become the person who refuses to accept mediocrity as a permanent condition. This is your moment. Not someday. Not when things get easier. Now. Right now, as you finish these words, you are at a crossroads. One path leads back to comfort, to distraction, to the slow decay of potential unfulfilled. The other path leads into the unknown, into discomfort, into the fire that forges legends. Which path will you choose? Because let me be clear, your life will not change because you watched this. It will only change if you act on what you have learned. And action begins with a declaration. So I am asking you to do something right now. In the comments below, type these 3 words, I will change. Not I hope to change. Not I want to change. I will change. Make it a public declaration, because when you state your intention publicly, something shifts in your neurology. You are no longer just thinking about transformation. You are committing to it in front of witnesses. And that commitment activates forces within you and around you that will support your ascension. And if you found value in this, if something in these words resonated with the part of you that knows you are meant for more, then hit the like button and subscribe. Not as a passive gesture, but as a symbolic act. A vote for your own evolution. A signal to the algorithm and to the universe that you are ready for more content, more knowledge, more power. Because this is just the beginning. This is the introduction to a much larger game. And those who take action, who declare their intent, who commit to the path, will be the ones who rise. The rest will remain where they are, wondering why nothing ever changes. The choice, as always, is yours. The power, as always, was within you all along. The question is, will you finally claim it? I will see you in the next transmission. Until then, rule yourself, master your frequency, and watch reality bend to your will. But before you go, let me leave you with one final thought, one final truth that ties everything together. The game you have been playing your entire life is rigged, but not in the way you think. It is not rigged against you by external forces, though those exist. It is rigged by the version of yourself that is afraid of your own power. That version has been sabotaging you, making you play small, convincing you that you are not ready, not worthy, not capable. That version is the real enemy. And until you defeat it, no strategy, no tactic, no knowledge will save you. The war for your life is not fought in boardrooms or marketplaces. It is fought in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It is fought in the decision to get up when you want to stay in bed. It is fought in the choice to do the hard thing instead of the easy thing. It is fought in the discipline to maintain your standards when they would be so easy to lower. This is the real battlefield, and the spoils of this war are nothing less than your entire destiny. Machiavelli wrote about the conquest of kingdoms, but the greatest kingdom you will ever rule is yourself. Master that, and everything else becomes inevitable. Fail at that, and nothing else matters. You can have all the wealth in the world, but if you are still a slave to your impulses, your fears, your need for approval, you are not free. You are just a comfortable prisoner. True power, true wealth, true freedom, these are internal states that then manifest externally. Not the other way around. Stop waiting for the external world to give you permission to feel powerful. Stop waiting for the bank account to hit a certain number before you allow yourself to feel abundant. Stop waiting for the relationship, the recognition, the validation. It will never be enough because the void you are trying to fill is internal, and external things cannot fill internal voids. Start now. Start today. Start this moment. Decide that the old version of you is dead. Mourn it if you must, but let it go. And step into the version of yourself that you know you are capable of becoming. The version that is disciplined, strategic, sovereign, and unstoppable. That version has always existed within you, waiting for you to stop making excuses and start making moves. Remember, the universe does not reward intentions. It rewards actions. It rewards consistency. It rewards those who are willing to do what others will not do, endure what others will not endure, and become what others are too afraid to become. Be that person. Be the anomaly. Be the one who breaks the pattern and creates a new reality. Your life is waiting for you to claim it, not someday, today, right now. So make the declaration, take the action, begin the transformation, and never, ever look back. I will see you in the next transmission. Until then, rule yourself, master your frequency, and watch reality bend to your will. Don't forget to give a like or a hype, and subscribe to the channel. Watch the next video to complete everything you just learned.